Hi-da-ho, hi-da-ho, hi-da-ho. How y'all doing? My brain is kind of cooked. My brain is a bit cooked. I've been dealing with VS Code issues today. Stupid VS Code issues that it seems like I would think would be pretty easy to solve. But yeah. I found workarounds though. I found workarounds. If you can't solve the problem, go around the problem. That's what we do in the tech world. Anyways, my golly, my brains are about to come out my ears. But anywho, what I want to talk about today is eating other people's dog food. I think this is an important concept, and it's one of those weird concepts that here in the tech world, the startup world, you actually don't hear a lot about. You hear about eating your own dog food a lot, but you don't hear about eating other people's dog food. Again, it's one of those very weird things I find. Like, again, the tech entrepreneur startup world, where I think some of the most important advice just doesn't come up. Again, nobody ever talks about spousal relations. You ever think about that with all these startups? The one thing they never talk about is spouses. Hmm. But anyways, so I've been thinking about this with Silicon Dojo. Silicon Dojo, authoritative, gatekeeperless, free dandies, or hands-on technology education that empowers you to do whatever the hell it is that you want to do in Durham, North Carolina, in Durham. It's actually here in Asheville. So we have many components. All right, we have the online component. I do Zoom. I do Zoom classes. I'm working on the e-classes right now. So actually on silicondojo.com itself, we're going to have self-paced programs there. We do the classes here in Asheville. I did have a class yesterday morning on the OpenAI API. So I had a couple of students come in. We spent 3 hours learning how to use, the AI API to build things with Python. That's pretty fun. And then Durham is coming. I don't know. I'm starting to think the third weekend in January. I think that's what I'm starting to think. I think that's where we're going for. But anyways, Durham seems like a great area. Again, I know you all think I'm snarky. I know you all think I'm like snarky and mean and just an over the hill cranky bastard. And no, I'm only snarky and mean about stupid crap, which probably makes a lot of people feel much worse. If I was just a grouchy, mean person about everything, then they could take it in stride and go, wow, Eli's mean about everything. When it's like, no, I'm just mean about stupid crap. Like, Anyways, I love the Research Triangle area. Raleigh's nice, Durham's nice, Chapel Hill seems nice. Not enough mountains, way too much traffic. I don't want to move there. But from a professional standpoint, just awesome. Again, they're the friendliest geeks I've ever met in my life. I do not know what they put in the water there. Those folks are nice. Again, I've been to Seattle and DC and San Fran and New York and Boston. I have never met tech professionals that are genuinely that nice. I thought it was I didn't think nice and tech professional actually went together. Basically, what I have found in the real world is people that are quote unquote nice tech professionals basically aren't doing anything. The reason that they're nice is because they're not stressed out of their goddamn minds. Ergo, they have the ability and they have the energy to be nice. It's like, oh, wow, you still have the energy to pretend you're a human being. That is a geek that's not doing enough work. Anyways, but we're going to Durham. We're going to Durham, again, I don't know, third weekend or whatever in January at American Underground is where we're going to be setting up shop. Hopefully, they have a class. They have a classroom of up to 40 people can go into and 20 people, all kinds of classrooms and stuff. So, anyways, we're going there. But one of the things I've been thinking about is again basically the idea of how do you actually present the education, right? Because that's the thing. Ideas people, they just throw an idea on the table and then they walk the hell away because they're worthless. Because they're worthless, right? You know what you should do is okay. Do you have the resources to pull that off? Do you have any industry expertise that I don't understand? Do you have somebody in your Rolodex that can give me an opening that I do not realize is there? No. Bugger the hell off. I do find that the interesting thing, like here in Asheville. So I've talked about the whole Asheville thing. Asheville is just not a tech scene. Just not. It is the antithesis. Like, it's not just not a text scene, it is the antithesis of a text scene. But anyways, I'll go out and I'll be talking with people. They'll be like, oh, what's going on with Silicon Dojo? I'll be like, had the problem, people showing up, actually having interest, any of that type of thing. And then I'll have people go, you know what you should do? It's like, what's that? You should go talk to high schools. And it's like, do you have a warm lead in a high school? No. Do you have a cold lead in a high school? No. Which high school should I go to? I don't know. Who should I talk to in the high school? I don't know. Do you understand how high schools work to the degree where at least you could point me in the direction to a position that I need to talk to in the high school in order to be able to do? No. Oh, I just need to go talk to high schools. Great. That's some great advice. Great advice. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to grab a whole pile of business cards. I'm going to walk up the street, and then I'm just going to start talking to a brick wall. Yeah, we've got a high school up the street. And it's got these beautiful brick walls. I'm just going to go up to that high school. I'm just going to talk to that high school. And then when people see me talking to an actual brick wall, they're going to think I'm high on something because it is Asheville, and everything's going to go to hell. You know what you should do? You should talk to high schools. Really? Do you talk to the door? Do you talk to the window? Do you talk to the brick wall? Do you find brick walls respond better than cinder block walls? When I'm talking to the high school, where is the face and where is the anus? I want to make sure I'm talking to the right location. Anyways, frustration is real. Frustration is real. Anyways, one of the things I'm thinking about, right? So we're going to American Underground, and one of the things I want to make sure is that the displays are good enough. Because I think this is one of the fascinating things in the world of coding. Like coding and coder events. You know what is shocking at coder events? How garbage the projectors are. Like, because, again, I come from the systems realm. Again, MCSE, Cisco, that kind of stuff. So really, we got a lot of right-clicking and left-clicking. Even when you got to type stuff in, you don't actually have to type that frickin' much in, right? Here's a command. Here's the response to the command. It's not that much text up on a screen, right? And so again, I've gone to tech events, God knows how many decades at this point. And again, screens are better and screens are worse, but when you're looking at icons, when you're looking at icons on the screen or whatever else, right? Whether the icon is that big or that big, you can still see the damn icon. You get the point, right? When it's an icon, you get the point. That's the circle one, and that's the little bridge thingy one, right? You get what's going on. I think one of the interesting things, though, is I've been going to these tech events for coding, like specifically for coding. And so when people do coding, there's a lot of text. There's a lot. Not only is there a lot of text, but then you're jumping between things, right? So you're here, and then that's talking to this file over here. It's talking to this file over here. Again, something very simple, right? So I'm doing this template class for Bottle. Finish that for today. But anyway, so you got the Python script here, you have the template file here, and then you actually have a CSS file, and that's just a very, very simple, idiotically simple thing. But even that's 3 files. So you got text, and you got 3 files. You got all kinds of stuff going on. And one of the things I find fascinating is going to coding events is you cannot read a damn thing on that screen. I think one of the funny things is, one of the most hilarious things is when the person giving the seminar or whatever is going 1,000 miles an hour as you can't read anything on the screen. Right? You're sitting there. Because that's the thing, right? If you can read everything on the screen and everybody's up to the same level, even if the person's going 1,000 miles an hour, you get the point. That's the function, and that's the class, and that's the whatever. Oh, okay. Okay, I get what's going on. But it's when you look at a screen and it's just kind of washed out, and you can barely even read the text. And the person going 1,000 miles an hour. And you're trying to read, and you're trying to listen, and you're trying to read, and you're trying to listen. And yeah, that is about just miserable, right? I went to that conference in Raleigh. And again, lovely people at that conference. That was a lovely conference. Oh my God, their audio visual was garbage. Just trash. Right? You'd be in this room, and you have these huge screens. I don't know how they did it. Huge screens. Again, it's projectors, so whatever the resolution of projectors are, you can't see what the hell's going on the screen. So you can't see what the hell's going on the screen. Person's going 1,000 miles an hour, and you're just wow. At least free beer is coming soon. At least free beer is coming soon. Right? And I think this is kind of an interesting thing to be thinking about. Again, especially for me from an educational standpoint. So basically, these are, I don't know, they're my competitors. I don't know what my competition is. Again, I have a fever dream. Who are your competitors in a fever dream? Who are your primary competitors and your secondary competitors as you roll around in the ground in a fever dream? I don't know, right? But anyways, but theoretically, you could think of these folks as like my competitors for education purposes. I think that's one of the interesting things is just sit there and to actually experience, fully experience, have the lived experience of a not very good education session so that you can start considering how you can make your education better. Again, it was interesting. I just went to this meetup up in Durham, and it was at the IBM campus. Poor IBM. Poor IBM. Oh, I feel like that projector is like 20 years old. It was funny. There was like 200 and some odd people in that room. Like 200 people shoved in a room looking at that screen. I swear to God, I couldn't read that damn screen. There's like variable, all kinds of crap on that screen. You can't read it. You just literally can't read it. And so I think the valuable thing, like with eating other people's dog food, going through the experience of your quote unquote competition, is that you start to see what works and what doesn't work. And you start to understand why it doesn't work. Right? So that's the thing, like with the code, right? All these people, again, I've seen so many of these at this point, they love to throw just a massive amount of code up on the screen. Here's the thing, right? We don't know how you built this thing. We don't know your style. We don't know the rest of it. Just trying to read through that code, even if you just gave me a piece of paper to read through the code, it'd probably be a bit of a pain in the ass. And so when you have the code that you can barely read and the person's going 1,000 miles an hour, that sucks. So one of the things I like to think about is like if you're trying to explain the code, why not just rip out the function? Rip out the function or even rip out the key components of the function. Instead of putting your entire VS Code screen up on the screen and nobody can tell what's, oh my God, especially like File Explorer, you think it's bad because like the main window of text is hard to read. And then they've got the little File Explorer on the side and they're flipping around through that damn thing, right? It's like, oh my God. So one of the things to think about is like you're sitting there like, this is a miserable experience. And then you start asking yourself, why is this a miserable experience? Because the person is talking incredibly quickly. The material that's being presented is very confusing. It's very hard to see. So how could this be better? What if, again, you just grab the specific code samples that you need, right? Instead of showing the entire thing, you just show the specific function calls and how those specific function calls work. Instead of showing whatever, you just show the schema or whatever, basically how the database works. Instead of trying to show all of this, you show these very specific things. And again, if you've got VS Code or whatever, if it's already going to be hard to read the screen, why are you going to fill up the screen with everything else, right? So when you're looking at VS Code, right, you've got your main editor window here. Many times you have the terminal underneath, and then to the side you have the File Explorer extensions, all that kind of stuff. So again, if you're doing a presentation, why do you have all this other crap? Get rid of the Explorer and the extensions. Get rid of the terminal while you need it, or unless you need it, and then just be able to show the snippets of code that you're focused on. Again, if you need to run something and actually print it out in the terminal, then expand the terminal so the terminal takes up most of the screen, so then people can then read what's coming out of the terminal. And people can really, basically be able to follow along. I think that's one of the interesting things. Again, it's the intent. It's the intent of the professional providing the service. And I think that's one of the important things with me. Like one of the things I will pat myself on the back for is my intent is to empower you, right? If we get done with a class, if you spend 8 hours with me in a class and then you go home and you have no idea what to do with that information, then I have failed. right? I do not succeed by having 40 people in a class. I do not succeed by having 40 asses in seats for 8 hours. That is not how I succeed. How I succeed is hopefully a number of the people actually being able to go home and put into practice what they have been taught during this particular session. What you see with a lot of educators, what you see with a lot of people that are trying to present information, their intent is to get the hell done. I have 50 slides, and my job is to get through the 50 slides. Well, think about that. Think about those intents. What is the difference with somebody whose intent is to get through 50 slides versus somebody whose intent is to empower the people that are watching, whatever the hell, being part of that? And what is that going to mean for the students, or basically for the people in the audience past that particular time? And so I think it's one of those interesting things to consider and basically to think about. That's one of the things I have with American Underground. I do have to get a verification on what resolution their projector is, right? Because projectors aren't projectors. I have a projector. I was really happy with my projector. I didn't think about it. I was like, look, I got my little projector. Look at my little projector. I got my travel projector. I actually like this little travel projector. It's a good projector. It's not very bright. Pretty crappy resolution. I had that's before, I got my 65-inch screens over there. And that was the thing, right? You project on the wall, and people really can't see what the hell's going on. So that's why you go with an LCD screen. So hopefully with American Underground, they will have decent projectors and decent screens, and we won't run into that particular issue. But we'll see. We'll see. It'll be a disaster. If nothing else, it'll be a glorious disaster. That's one of the things you want in the tech world. So you just don't want a normal disaster. When you screw up, you want it to be glorious. They will tell tales about your colossal fuck up for the next 20 generations. Your grandchildren's grandchildren will hang their head in shame over how much you destroyed that day. That's how it goes. You can't win unless you fail. And the reality is you're going to fail far more than you're going to win. So anyhow. So yeah, I was just kind of thinking about that because again, it's interesting. Again, being up in the Raleigh and the Durham area and going to like so many of these events. And again, like I say, especially like tech education and tech, again, where knowledge is supposed to be presented and, provide for people. That's why people are coming, is to learn. And then just to see like how bad the whole audio visual thing. And again, like one of the things to be thinking about too is, again, it's like that workaround. Right, what do you really want? What do you want? You want a really bright, at least 4K projector that will project a 100+ inch screen. Right, that's what you want. That is the solution. IBM. They're these things. They're called 4K projectors. They've been around for a little while. You might want to buy one. Anyways, right? So that's the real solution for a lot of this stuff. The real solution: better projectors, brighter, better resolution projectors. But the thing is, again, kind of like with VS Code today, sometimes you're not going to get it, right? That's a capital cost. That's a capital expense for these places. And some companies like IBM, they just don't got the money for technology anymore. They ain't making as much money off of their old mainframes as they used to. Anyways, should stop being snarky. Anyways. But that's one of the things to think about. It's like a lot of this, it's CapEx expenses, so you're not going to get the upgrade just because they're not going to pay for it. Or if you go to an event space or whatever else, the decision is in somebody else's court, right? You don't even know who you would talk to about making the call. And even if they did make the call, they might make the call for 2 years from now. They're not making a call for today. And so one of the things you need to be thinking about then is how, again, like I said, that's that whole thing. How can you work around the issues that you're running into, Again, instead of showing all the code, do not show all the code. You just show the particular functions. And that might be one thing. You sit there and you're like, you try to put all the function on the screen and people can't read the function. So again, maybe you just copy and paste out the specific things that you're doing with the function. Or if your function is too big, maybe you just create a template of what the function is supposed to look like, and then you just reuse really small variable names so it all fits in. So instead of showing your function, again, you show a template of the function with really small variable names, and maybe that would fit in. And again, one of the things to be thinking about is maybe using variable names that are easier to understand, again, by using like something like a template. Maybe that is a better way of providing educational material than actually showing, the working, or actually trying to show the code of the working product. So anyways, things to ponder, things to think about. So I'm excited. Silicon Dojo is trucking along. I think Durham's going to be fun. Durham, again, it may be a disaster. It'll at least be a fun disaster. I think Durham's going to be good. We got the Durham meetup. I don't know, we got like 30 people on the Durham meetup. I've actually got to put the classes up there. I think we're going to do the weekend. Again, that's the other thing with ideas. Ideas. Everybody's got ideas. But then actually putting ideas, like implementing, right? And that's like the whole thing. Like even like doing in-person classes. You think about something as simple as an in-person class. Well, how hard is the implementation? Well, one, you got to find the space. Again, thankfully, American Undergrad. But then two, you got to think about, again, like how are you going to do it? Is it going to be 3-hour classes? Is it going to be full day classes? Is it going to be multi-day boot camps? Right, that's different implementation. And then one of the other weird things is to think about is, again, what days of the week? Do you do it during the week, or do you do it during the weekend? If you do it during the week, you're going to get some types of people to attend. If you do it during the weekend, you're going to get other types of people to attend. And again, it's just a decision point, right? Again, I'm going to do a couple of days of training. So we're going to do like 2 solid days of training. Do I do it Saturday and Sunday? Do I do it Monday and Tuesday? Do I do it Thursday and Friday? There's valid points for any of those days, but I'm only going to pick one set of those days, right? And that's why I get so frustrated with these quote unquote idea people, right? If you come up to me and you say, well, Eli, what you have to understand is, again, in the Durham area, for whatever reason, everybody has Monday off. Again, so there's weird stuff, again, especially like in tourist areas. A lot of times Mondays are actually the days to have off. So I might be like, oh, you might not realize, right? In Durham, Monday is when everybody has off. So that might be a more appropriate day to do these educational classes, especially with the whole free to the end user thing, right? That is actually that's useful data point. Whereas most people, they give you, go talk to the high school. Really? I did. I went and I talked with the junior high schools, but I really didn't get any response when I talked to the anuses. Yeah, I went right up to that junior high school and talked straight to the anus of it. Didn't get me anywhere. I don't want to run into that again. So which part of the high school is the face? I just want to go talk to the face of the high school. Anywho. That's all I got to say. If you're interested in what I'm doing, again, silicondojo.com. We got the meetups there. We got video classes there. And again, like I said, I'm really excited. We're going to be having a self-paced education. So for Python and Bottle and PHP and all these other things, one of the things that I've realized, again, actually doing what you're trying to do, is that there's too much gap. Like if you miss something, how do you make it up? When is the next time that we're going to teach it? So the nice part is about having that self-paced education is at least you can get up to speed. It may not be the way you prefer to get up to speed. You may learn better in an in-person environment, but at least you can use a self-paced education to get up to speed and then be able to come to classes and feel pretty comfortable. So I'm really excited about those. I was working on those today too. And I think the back half of December, that's what I'm going to be focused on. I think like right now, I'm pretty comfortable with teaching Python at this point. Teaching Python seems pretty solid at this point. I'm not screwing things up the way I used to. Bottle, again, the web app framework, SQLite. I think what I want to do is the back half of December create the self-paced Python, Bottle, and SQLite series. And then that's a nice solid base. And the nice part about that too is that just lasts forever. Right? I mean, people are still watching my videos from like 12 years ago. So the cool thing about doing video education is like it's a pain in the ass to do. Like, yeah, it's gonna take me like 3 weeks to do it. But then once it's done, it is basically done. And that shit just sits there forever. Use it, don't use it, whatever. It's now an asset that actually exists. So I think that's where we're going. So anyways, I don't know. SiliconDojo.com. So with that, I have other stuff to do. See y'all later.